What is up? Welcome to another edition of Sacktown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we are back reviewing actually two films. It's been quite some time since we've actually done a two-film review in one show. So the two films we're actually going to be reviewing today, and they kind of go together in some capacity, will be The Tinder Swindler and Fresh, which are both two 2022 films. Both streaming. I know that The Tinder Swindler was on Netflix, I believe.
Yep.
And Fresh is on
Hulu.
Yeah. So both.
Hulu, I did. No,
yeah. And they're both kind of, I think you alluded to, they're both kind of like the perils of dating, basically, or using dating, online dating or dating apps.
Modern. Yeah. That was my idea to do this as a twofer because, to me, it's like they are, they're both about the perils of modern dating and using dating apps and where that can get you, So I thought might as well have like a true story and a fictional version of the same kind of concept that you can't ever trust, the person that you're meeting online.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
Without doing a lot of research.
I agree.
And don't drive into the middle of nowhere with somebody that you met on one just recently. But we'll get to that one later.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one later. But no, this will be fun. Yeah, it's kind of like we did another one that was a dual one that also talked about like kind of about internet and social media, like the social dilemma, and then the I forget the other one about the Pepe the Frog.
Feels Good Man. Yeah,
Feels Good Man. We did those two as well. So this kind of goes in line with that one a little bit as well, just in terms of basically meeting strangers, if you will. In this case,
the internet is evil, basically.
Yeah, the internet and people are evil as well. Although technically, and I'll get into that later, she actually meets him at a grocery store. But
true.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But same.
But follows up on an app, if I remember right. Am I wrong?
No, he doesn't have any social media.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so never mind. So the perils of modern dating, period.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, never mind.
But we'll get into that in a second. Well, I say without further ado, I say we get right into it. I'm old. I guess it's a good thing I'm taking on Fresh. But we'll go ahead and get started. Right. We're actually going to get started with the Tinder Swindler, and I believe you're actually going to take this one away, Jason.
Yeah. So this is a documentary, and it is what is an example of what is very, very popular now. And Netflix in particular seems to be, really doing well with this kind of thing. True crime documentaries. So true crime's big. Like I love true crime. Like I gotta admit that I eat up these kind of things with a spoon. You know what I mean? Like for some reason, like it's kind of messed up to say, but it's kind of like in a weird way, comfort food. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's like, maybe it's like being able to sit down and turn your brain off and hear about some people's stories that are worse than yours. You know what I mean? Maybe.
I don't know. I think there's always just a general curiosity in terms of like, really bad or horrific things or whatever. And this one's not like a murder mystery necessarily or anything of that nature, but there's always some sort of wanting to, uncover the truth of what happened and just hear about these stories. And like you said, it's kind of like good because like, we can say, well, thank God I'm not in that situation.
Yeah.
No matter how bad my life is at the present or whenever, you know what I mean? You can always look and say,
at least that didn't happen to me.
At least that didn't happen to me, so there's always that, there's that element. But no, I'm with you on that too. I love like true crime stories and things of that nature as well.
Yeah, and it's not to go off on too much of a tangent, but like another example of this recently with Netflix is a show called Worst Roommate Ever, which I can also recommend because first of all, it's a bad title. Worst Roommate Ever makes it sound like a comedy or like it's funny. It's not. Those are some creepy stories, and in fact, the first episode,
Sacramento, right?
Yeah, it's Dorothea Puente, which is literally like 2 blocks away from my apartment where I'm sitting at right now. Like that house is right there. And even so in the show, some of the like drone shots, like the overhead drone shots, you can see my apartment building in at least one of those. So that's pretty interesting. But like, I found myself thinking like, yeah, that was a good show. I hope there's another season and I felt like, well, that's kind of messed up to say. I sure hope there are more stories like this.
Yeah, I hope there are
know?
more stories about terrible neighbors that kill people or whatever,
exactly.
do diabolical things to their neighbors.
Yeah, so you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean?
I totally get it.
Anyway, back to the subject at hand. So the Tindler Swindler is one of many true crime documentaries, as opposed to a mini series. This one's an actual movie, which I'll take it either way. But there's something to be said for like just the 90-minute film as opposed to like a multiple episode limited event series or whatever they call it. Anyway, long story short, because there's not a whole lot to say about this one.
Right.
This is based on a true story that I guess went kind of viral a year or two ago, and I missed it because I don't really pay attention to stuff like that.
I missed it as well. I never heard of the story, so
right. I guess it was publicized pretty heavily like last year or something. But it's about a guy named Shimon. I don't remember what his real last name is. Bottom line is he was using Tinder. I keep wanting to say Tinder to create like a false version of himself, which I mean, a lot of people do that, like falsify who they are on a dating app. Within some parameters, it's expected, and
yeah.
Someone
he was
okay.
on some next level.
yeah. To like, I don't want to say. I also don't want to say too much because, like, I went into this story like blind. I didn't.
Right.
I mean, I knew kind of vaguely what it was about, but I had no idea like the depths. This guy sucks. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell by the title, the Tindler Swindler, so you can tell that he's swindling people in some capacity for sure. So
yeah, but it's pretty amazing in a bad way.
The level. Yeah, I mean, this is like high level stuff. You know what I mean? Saying so. Yeah.
He not only does he construct a completely false profile. I mean, like it's it's been like a month since I watched this, but like he creates like an entire like experience for these people that he these ladies that he cons into thinking that he's like wealthy and not only wealthy but like trustworthy. He'll go so far as to fly them somewhere and make it look like he's like a millionaire, and then not only that he's in danger because he's in the diamond trade, and his life is in danger and he needs their money to survive basically. And then at the same time he's running like the same scam with someone else at like a different point to where they're all kind of like bankrolling each other, bankrolling, you know what I mean? Like,
and it's like, and I don't know how he got started in it. And like I said, I don't want to go too in depth into the details, but I do remember basically, how he lures them in is he shows them like a great time. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
makes it look like he's a millionaire playboy,
limousines and, these fancy hotels and things of this nature. And so, you think that this guy's got some money because of the, and he's got fancy clothes and all this stuff. But, this is all on probably whoever the previous person that he swindled's dime. You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
So basically
and
he's
so
like, he's like a serial swindler, I guess, if you will. He basically bleeds somebody dry and then goes on to the next one kind of thing. So, that's
right. Yeah. And it's, I mean, long story short, like I liked it. I think it's a good movie. It's definitely interesting. It definitely kept me on the edge of my seat, and like, like a good true crime documentary does, it keeps you going like, oh my God, where's this going to go next? Oh my God, where's this going to go next?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, I watched basically half of it in the morning one day. And then it was one of those where like, I couldn't wait to get home from work and finish it. You know what I mean? Because it was like, I can't fathom how this is going to wind up. And
for sure.
Like, I mean, it's a good true crime documentary. It kept me on the edge of my seat. I found the women, I think it's 3 of them who it focuses on, are all really engaging, and I wanted them to get their day in court. I'm not going to say whether, I mean, it's all over the media, but I'm not going to say how it winds up. It's good in some ways, frustrating in others, but it's a documentary that I definitely recommend, if nothing else, to join the conversation that's out there about it right now, because it's pretty popular, I think, and most people I know have seen it and have something to say about it. So, I liked it. How about you?
No, I liked it as well. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. To your point, I know you had indicated, this is a movie as opposed to like a mini series, and I don't know. I felt like this one felt right as a movie.
Yeah.
I think it just felt right. I'm sure there was more story that they could have fleshed out over like an 8-10 part mini series, but I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I feel like those go on too long. I got into like this series called Inventing Anna. With what's her name's the star of it? From,
Julia Garner.
From Ozark. And my issue with that is that it seemed like they just took way too long. It was like, it got to a point where I really didn't care anymore because the story, I mean, it's like 10, 12 episodes. I was pretty much done by episode like 7. I was like, we could just wrap this up. You know what I mean? Because it was like all this, like, it was just stretched out too long. So in some cases, I do like when a movie's like this, if it's a story and you don't need an 8-part, 10-part, maybe a 4-part miniseries would have been okay, but you don't need to stretch it out if there's just not, if the material's not there, you know what I mean? To make it
exactly.
But I thought it was interesting, it's definitely one of those things where, and I don't know how he got started in it, because it doesn't really touch on that, but it's one of those things where, and it's kind of hard to go into details without giving too much away, but it's like one of those things where, I wasn't even 100%, satisfied with the conclusion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll just kind of leave it at that.
It's a developing story.
Because it's, and I'll just leave it at, it's not 100% over yet. So, one of those things, but no, it's an interesting take. That's for sure. So,
and it made me grateful that I've never used one of those dating apps to find somebody.
I mean, they're not all terrible. I mean,
I know.
I essentially, met my wife on a dating app, so
all right. Well, they can work out then.
They can definitely work out, but you do have to be careful for sure. They're definitely, I'm sure anyone that's been on one of those could definitely tell you some stories. Maybe not to this degree, and probably not to the degree of the next film that we're going to cover in a few minutes here, but definitely, definitely. We definitely hope not, but definitely, definitely have to be careful out there. There's definitely some dangerous, and this guy, he's not really, I don't know if he's really that necessarily dangerous, violent like, but he's definitely dangerous in terms of, his intentions for sure. So,
I mean, it came across like a sociopath to me, just no concept of human emotion or empathy or how to treat people.
Not at all. He gave no cares about, doing harm to people or whatever.
But was good at pretending that he did, which is the scary part.
Right.
So
for sure. Yeah.
I
agree.
Yep. It's quite a story.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what is the overall grade and face you would give this one?
I gave it a 4 out of 5. Solid B+. Good time. I know it's my most common rating, it seems like, but it means that I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, but I definitely had a good time. So that's, happy face.
Absolutely.
I'm a happy guy, Kier. I'm a happy guy.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I teetered on this one. I ended up giving a 3.5 out of 5. There were some things that not the movie's fault, but just some things that I was like not as satisfied with, towards the end. But I can't really necessarily blame that on the movie because it's a truth-based movie. It's a documentary. So you can't really get mad at the way that it turns out. So so I ended up giving a 3.5 out of 5.
Cool.
So just a big smile and some teeth.
All right.
Well, that takes care of The Tinder Swindler. Moving on to our next film, which is going to be Fresh, which is now streaming on Hulu, which is not a documentary, of course. This is actually it's directed by Mimi Cave, who I'm not really that familiar with in terms of movies. But it basically stars Daisy Edgar Jones as Noah and Sebastian Stan, who plays Steve. So Noah is basically a single woman, lives alone, doesn't have, much family that I know of. She's got some friends and things of that nature. Meets a guy named Steve on a chance encounter, basically, or what she thinks is a chance encounter, basically, in a grocery store. They kind of exchange numbers. He seems like a nice guy. But the thing about him, though, is that she tried to like, Facebook stalk him or Instagram stalk him or whatever case may be, which I'm sure is what everybody does these days in the social media world. You meet somebody new, especially somebody you potentially might be interested in dating. The first thing that most people probably do is go online and see what they're about. I was in the staffing industry and we did that for clients, so people would come in and the first thing, for an interview, we would go on, Instagram or go on Facebook or whatever case may be and see, what this person was about sometimes, because sometimes you'd find some interesting things, if the Facebook page was public that would make you maybe not think that they were a great employee for your company. So, long story short, she's not able to find any information about this guy. He says he's not into social media, which for most people is probably a red flag right there, like Jason. But it is. I mean, for a lot of people, that is a red flag for potential, if they can't find information about you. I mean, you're still on social media. You just don't use it.
I got Letterboxd. Letterboxd.
I mean, you're still technically on the app.
Yeah, I'm on hiatus from the other ones, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you're still there. I mean, they can find you if someone was looking for you. So you're not kind of that same situation. Any event, she starts dating this guy. They seem like they're really hitting it off. And they decide to go on like this trip, and he's going to be driving her and taking her. But before the trip, he's like, well, it's going to be a long drive, so we should go to my place. That's supposedly not that far. We should go to my place and basically, kind of stay the night and then head out for the trip. Well, things turn quickly once they get to his place because he is basically his job or also his lifestyle is he basically cuts body parts off of women and sells them online. So it just kind of is online and sells them online or sells them to, these wealthy investors for money, basically that, for cannibalism, basically. And he in himself is also a cannibal. So he's kind of like a Hannibal Lecter type individual where he basically, cuts body parts off of, primarily women. I'm assuming only women. And basically, cooks them, shrink wraps the parts, keeps them frozen, shrink wraps the parts, and then, gives the parts to these, other wealthy, influential cannibals, if you will. And so basically her story is she's kind of like locked in like this room where he also locks a bunch of other girls and he slowly, he's keeping them alive, but he slowly continues to like drug them every so often and, removes like a leg or an arm or a hand or something of that nature. That's kind of the nutshell of the story without going too much into the details, I guess, if you will. It's a comedy.
That's pretty far into the details.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the full conclusion of, but it's pretty much the story though, it's part comedy because it sounds like a straight horror film. It sounds like a Silence of the Lambs or something, or Hannibal or something of that nature. But it actually is kind of a comedy because the thing about him is it's weird about him is he's kind of honest. You know what I mean? Like he'll tell you exactly what he's going to do, or, and he wants to be like friends, with his people that he captures. And he's just like, I really do like you. I'm sorry that I had to, take your leg, but you're a good person. I like you, so he's kind of like low key comical, even though he's doing these horrific things to women, basically. But in a nutshell, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny. I definitely laughed. It's not obviously the most original film. I mean, it's not the first film you've ever seen where a guy kidnaps women and, does horrible, horrific things to them. It's not the first cannibal film you've ever seen either, but I did like it. I thought it was just kind of a fun and fresh film. So I enjoyed it. So for me, I thought it was good. What was your take, Jason?
I didn't love it. I'll put it that way, which is really surprising to me because I'm a horror movie fan. It's my genre. Whenever there's a new horror movie coming out that's getting positive reviews and positive word of mouth like this, I can't wait. I watched this like pretty much as soon as it was available or within a couple of days after it was available. I will say that there were several things about it that I really liked. I really liked both of the main performances. I think I'm unfamiliar with Daisy Edgar Jones, but she was very good. Sebastian Stan, aka the Winter Soldier, aka Tommy Lee. I like him. He was good in this role as kind of a kind of a, Patrick Bateman / Ted Bundy, smooth serial killer type.
Right.
And I really, really like the lead up. Like I enjoyed the fact this is one of those horror movies that if you didn't know it was a horror movie, you might not even catch on to that for like half an hour.
Yeah, because it comes across as like a kind of like a romantic comedy, but there's some seediness going on in the background kind of thing, because there are some red flags initially, like I said, with her not being able to find information about him and
Right.
things of this nature. And she has a friend that she works with that she's like giving like updates on the guy and dating, and even the friend's kind of like, I don't know, that sounds kind of creepy, that I don't know if I'd do that, I don't know if I'd go on some trip with some guy that you literally just met a couple weeks ago that you don't know a whole lot about, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I really liked all that stuff. In that way, it kind of mirrors one of my favorites, which is a movie called Audition, which is another movie where half an hour in, you wouldn't even necessarily know that you're in for like some serious horror down the line. But and also it's not a spoiler because I read about it myself before I watched the movie, but I think it's a kind of a neat touch that the title of the movie doesn't even appear until like 30 minutes in to a 90-minute movie. And I dug all that stuff. I loved the introduction. I was still on board for a little while after that. But I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's just after at some point, it just started losing me. And it's hard to describe why. Maybe it's just because like once all the answers are laid out there, it was something that I had, I had seen a lot of times before, and
like I said, I wouldn't say it's like the most original film that I've ever seen, but it is unique in its own way because, there have been movies about, terrible people that do kidnapping and cannibals, but usually this one's also part comedy. So I think that adds a little extra element to it as well. So
yeah, and it did make me laugh a few times. It's just like toward the end, it really started to lose me because, not to go into spoilers or anything like that, but it seemed like its ultimate goal was to be one of those horror movies. It's like, oh, we're not a horror movie. We're about all these other things at the same time, So, I mean, I don't know. It just seemed to be playing games a little bit toward the end. Like, okay, I'm going to say something that's not really a spoiler, but it's kind of a spoiler. There's a character that's set up in the movie that he's clearly supposed to be like the character that's putting the pieces together behind the scenes, and they're going to show up at the end because they think that something's wrong, and they're going to show up and save the person. And then like, it turns out that person was just like a setup for a joke. You know what I mean? Like that, oh, they're not going to do that after all. And it seems like, I don't know, that's a lot of time to invest in a character that is ultimately just a punchline. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then like some other things rubbed me the wrong way. And then there's a lot of plot lines that are left hanging at the end. And I don't think it's because it's trying to be ambiguous or anything like that. It's just like, I don't know. It just seems like they had an idea for a movie and then they didn't no pun intended, flesh it out properly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I was really into it, and they just started to kind of hit some wrong notes that by the end I was just kind of not into it anymore. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's the way it was. Yeah.
Acting's just watch great. It again. You'll love it.
Shut up. Yeah. So,
yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, overall grade then, and Face, you would give this one.
I give it a 3 out of 5, which is a kind of a borderline C+, B-.
It means you hated it.
No, that means that I had definite problems with it though. But there were things that I liked. So that's big thumbs up for the first half. Second half, I thought it kind of fell apart. So
yeah. Like I said, it's not perfect for me, but I definitely did enjoy it. I gave this one a 3.5. I enjoyed it. So it's just a big smile with some teeth. I thought it was fun. Like I said, it wasn't perfect by any means, but I thought it was fun. I had a good time watching it. I was never bored. It was funny. It made me laugh throughout. So for me, it was just a really fun, horror comedy, if you will. So I thought it was relatively well done. Like I said, just a good film. So,
yeah,
cool.
all right.
Well, anything else you want to add about Fresh or about the Tinder Swindler?
No, just be
All right.
careful on the internet out there.
Yeah, be careful on the internet and be careful who you meet in the grocery stores.
Yeah,
So just be careful.
yeah,
Just be careful.
yeah.
So, I guess the moral of the story is, meet their friends, a bunch of them, not just one, meet a few of them, meet their parents, you know what I mean? Find out where they work, find out where they work, get some information about them before you decide to just, willy-nilly take trips or whatever case may be with this individual. Get a little bit more information, do your research, do your homework, because they may be a Tinder swindler or they may be a cannibal. You just never know.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Hopefully
they may
not.
be both.
It could be both. You never know. That's why
it
you
could be a Tinder swindler
fact
and a
check.
cannibal.
You do
You
your
just
fact
never
checking.
know. You got to
Yeah.
be careful out there. Protect
Yeah.
yourselves.
Yeah.
Well, let us know down in the comments. Did you like both these films? Did you not like them? Did you like one over the other? As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you like, subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification, and we'll be back again soon with another show. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye.